Warning: the following podcast, which contains strong language and mature content, is unsuitable for children or for the faint of heart. The subject matter discussed will be frightening and graphic in nature. Listener discretion is advised.
Three spooked girls. Three spooked girls. When you want to hear about the paranormal, you get the spooked girls. True crime that makes you hypothermal. With the three spooked girls. Stabby snippets will give you dreams. Tara and Jessica will make you scream along with the spooked girls. Bring on the slaughter. We on that haunted ground. Spooked girls. The three spooked girls.
Hey there, Spooksters. Welcome back to the final episode of our O.J. Simpson series, unless you're a patron, but that's different. Today we are going to go over just the last little bit, just the last smidge, and I'm so excited for it. What about you, Tara? Are you ready?
I'm ready. I'm so ready.
I feel like Tara knows this about me. I have become obsessed with this case, and it's probably good that this is our last episode, or I might never recover.
Yeah, no kidding.
However, I am surprising Tara right now, and I'm redoing my verdict section.
Do what you gotta do.
In a text, she was like, too late. And I was like, no, I'm just gonna redo it on the next episode because I left out some key things. We know that he's found not guilty, but there's some vital parts of this that I missed. One of it is that so October 1st, they're like, okay, everything's done. Judge Ito says tomorrow the jury's going to come in and do deliberations. Mind you, the second that they were like, okay, we're going into deliberations, all of the jurors had to pack in everything every single day.
Oh.
I remember hearing this when people were talking about it. They were like, oh my God, the jurors had already packed their bags. No, like literally they were told to pack their bags to like bring that shit in. Once they were done, like once the verdict is read, everything is done. They don't go back to the hotel. They go to like their home. They're free.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So October 2nd, they get in and they start deliberating. It's a little after like 9:00 in the morning when they start this process. The forewoman who was elected is Armanda Cooley. And the first thing she did was like, I think we should she's like, I've never been a four-person before, so we should like decide how we want to do this. And everyone kind of was like, I think we should take like a straw vote. And so they did a secret ballot and it was 10-2. One of the jurors would come out later and say like, it was me, I voted that way. But another one would never come out and say that they thought he was guilty. They start going through all of the evidence, and the big questions that they had were around the limo driver. So they actually went back into court, and the court reporter like read the limo driver's testimony, which was like 90 minutes. Mm-hmm. And it's just a court reporter reading it like not very enthusiastically, just monotone reading. Jeffrey Toobin says in his book that he almost fell asleep. So he decided that once they left, he wasn't going to go back when they broke for lunch. They break for lunch, which is like an hour and a half, and the jurors decide not to go back out, and they take another vote because they have no more questions about Park, and they take another vote, and it's 12-0. So at 3 p.m. on October 2nd, they hit the button that there's like a button that they hit like 3 times, and that indicates that they have a verdict. Jeffrey Toobin says that in his book, he literally was like, I'm just going to run upstairs for a little bit and like visit my friend, and like while he was there, it had been like maybe an hour. The guy gets the phone call that it's been decided. They come in. Judge Ito says, you know what? We're not gonna read the verdict. Go back to your hotel. The hotel throws the jurors a party, and they have like a champagne mixer. This is the part like I really wanted this to be known. Mm-hmm. Like a waiter was like to one of the jurors is like, what did you guys vote? And the guy just says, N to him, as in not guilty.
Yeah.
Also, the sheriff deputies were like, how are you voting? Tell us, tell us, tell us. And the sheriff deputies then called their friends who were guarding O.J. Simpson. So O.J. Simpson knew it was a non-guilty verdict before he went in there. He was like really happy. That's why like he didn't seem stressed out about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they come in the next day, and at 10:07, history is made where he's acquitted of 2 murder charges. So there's that. There's 2 pieces of evidence that I forgot to mention, which we're going to discuss the theory at the end. And so I have to mention these because both of them tie into my theory. I was a little chaotic. I had so much stuff to go over. The first one is that the prosecution had one piece of evidence that they were like, aha, we have this. They had a receipt from like a cutlery place, and they'd actually gotten the owner and the salesperson from the cutlery place to come and testify during the preliminary trial. Now, if you remember, the preliminary trial was still under Judge Mills.
Mm-hmm.
Judge Ito hadn't stepped in yet because he hadn't been appointed.
Right.
O.J. Simpson's like, hey, the knife that they're talking about is in my closet. So Shapiro sends a dude over. They see the knife is there. The box is unopened. The knife is clean. It's an unused knife. And the prosecution thinks they have this like gotcha, like he just went out in like late May and bought the knife. So Shapiro then goes to Judge Lance Ito because they know each other and says, hey, I need you to get a third-party person to go over to O.J. Simpson's house and collect this. That way there is no contamination. So Shapiro arranges this, but doesn't tell the prosecution this at all. This is like the prosecution has no idea about it. Judge Ito gets one of his longtime like judge friends to go retrieve it. And he puts it, like he goes and gets it and puts it in a sealed envelope and gives it to Judge Ito. Judge Ito doesn't know what it is. Like he doesn't really know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So his very first day when he comes into court, he has the fucking knife in the envelope. And they're like, what is that? And they open it up and it's the knife, and it destroys prosecution's evidence because the knife in question matches the receipt and it is unopened and unused.
Mm-hmm.
It will tie into my theory later.
Gotcha.
The other one is I forgot to mention really fast is in AC's Bronco, when OJ was visiting Nicole, they found a disguise kit. It had like spirit gum, which if you don't know what that is, it's basically like beard glue, but it's like, if you've ever been a theater kid, you'll know that spirit gum is like from hell. Like once you get it on, it takes an act of God and then some to get it off of your body. And it was like a custom looking kind of beard kit. And it was purchased on May 27th. So a little bit before the murders. Those are the 2 pieces of evidence that I wanted to. Where we left off is O.J. Simpson walked out because that's what happens when you are acquitted of murder. You don't go back to prison. You don't go back in. He literally like walked out. He got in a van with Bobby Kardashian and went back to Rockingham.
Yep.
And was like, bye-bye. That's literally what happened. And at this point in time, he lives it up. Literally the Star, like the magazine Star, paid him to have a party there and ran all of those pictures. So he made money like right off the bat when he got out. The Goldman family and the Brown family and Ron's mom, Sharon, were like, we're not going to let him get away with this. So they decided to file civil suits. Well, there's 2 types of civil suits that you can file against. The first one is what the Goldmans do, and that's a wrongful death suit. The definition of that is that this can be brought up by an heir for loss of financial support or loss of emotional support. Depending on the relationship. So that's what the Goldmans filed under. Interestingly enough, like his mom, like we talked about in the episode where we got to know Ron, like his mom hadn't really had a relationship with him since like he was like 6 or 7, but she filed a wrongful death suit and was awarded monies eventually. We'll get there. The Browns decided that they didn't want to put Sydney and Justin through this kind of thing because they would be the beneficiaries of it. So they did a survival suit against the assault and battery that resulted in Nicole's death, which makes sense. Mm-hmm. So Ron Goldman's dad, Fred, was represented by Daniel Petrocelli. He was the plaintiff. And then Simpson or OJ was represented by Robert Baker. Judge Horatio Fujisawa was the one who was over the trial. And unlike how Judge Ito was like, cameras, please, yes, 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 this judge was like, get the fuck out. Like, I don't want any kind of anything in here. And he basically banned the courtroom sketch artist. It was like, get the fuck out. Opening proceedings started on October 23rd, 1996, which is basically a year and some change after his not guilty verdict. It wouldn't last too long. It would end on February 5th of 1997. And the difference is like, they were in Santa Monica. So they were in like a wealthier, more affluent area. OJ was found liable for the wrongful death and battery of Ron Goldman and the battery against Nicole Brown Simpson. And he was ordered to pay $33.5 million in damages.
Wow.
Yeah, Tara's face was like, excuse me? OJ could not pay that, would not pay that, obviously. So he actually ended up auctioning off his Heisman Trophy for $500,000. Then he moved his ass to fucking Florida because his house basically got foreclosed on, Rockingham. And in July of 1998, the new owner demolished it. Was like, fuck this shit. I kind of like that. He was the owner of the very famous Jerry's Deli in LA. And I was like, that's kind of ballsy. It's reported that in June of 2022, so very many years later, Fred Goldman, Ron's dad, basically was like, we are going to keep fighting for this. And OJ basically now with like fucking interest and shit owes him $96 million.
Holy shit.
But OJ moved to fucking Florida, which basically protects his pension and protects any assets that he has. And we know that from the book, If I Did It, when he wrote it, he puts all of his shit in shell corporations. He asks to get paid in cash. So the Goldmans spend their life fighting for this. And I know a lot of people are like, well, that's money grubbing and blah, 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 and they shouldn't do that. But the truth is, if they don't go after this money, then OJ is not held accountable for the debt.
Exactly.
And that's what it's about. My thing is, everyone go buy a copy of If I Did It, because then it helps. It helps OJ. Like, somebody's telling him like, oh my God, that book is selling. And he's like, oh, the money I could have had. It's just like a big middle finger to the juice. So, so that would not be the end of his legal troubles. And I'm going to hand it over to Tara, who's going to tell us about how he got into the second biggest trouble of his life.
Yeah, so we're going to jump to 2007. As you guys might be aware, if you're familiar with his life, he did end up in prison, but it wasn't for the murders. So I found the best thing ever, guys. So I found an article that was like years later. One of his accomplices is spilling the tea. And then we have another one from his last parole hearing on OJ's version of what happened. So we will go through both of those. But just to kind of like put it in perspective for you, here are the counts from this situation we're going to go over. So there's 12 total, okay? We have conspiracy to commit a crime, conspiracy to commit kidnapping, conspiracy to commit robbery, burglary while in possession of a deadly weapon, first-degree kidnapping with the use of a deadly weapon, first-degree kidnapping with the use for a deadly weapon again because there was two people, robbery using a deadly weapon for both people, for Bruce and Alfred, assault with a deadly weapon ×2 against them two, and then coercion with a deadly weapon for each of them. So, lots of like felonies and stuff like that. Let's go into this. So the accomplice they talked to in this, they talked to, I think, more than one. This is going to go based off of the 2020 special about this. And you can see like, it's nice because it's like you can see all the footage and everything from the hotel. So, okay. It's crazy. Like, this was not that long. Like, the anniversary was not that long ago. So on September 3rd of 2007, Michael McClinton said he found himself walking out of a Las Vegas hotel with O.J. Simpson and 4 other men, still reeling from what had happened. I'm like, okay, drama. So he said, the minute I walked out, I knew we were getting ready to have a huge problem. Basically, they ended up at the Palace Station Hotel and Casino. One of OJ's friends, Charlie Elric agreed to pose as a buyer and meet with 2 sports memorabilia sellers who claimed to have some of OJ's items. And that would be the 2 victim names I mentioned earlier. So all this shit is like what happened in the room. And the room was 1203. So why OJ was even there was because like one of his friends named Tom Scotto was getting married and he was supposed to be the best man. And all of OJ's little friends are there. Everybody's there.
I love that it's like, I'm supposed to be some person's best man, but I'm going to go
do this.
Something nefarious.
Tom had been reported to say, quote, he, meaning Simpson, was more excited for me to get married than I was. My wedding was a 4-day event. We had parties every night. He learned from Tom Riccio about this memorabilia, right? And Tom said he got a call from a dude named Al Beardsley. And basically, he said that this guy told him, Tom, I have all of OJ's trophy room. That'd be a lot of stuff that he could get a lot of money for.
Right. Mind you, OJ has sold it off over the years.
Exactly. Which is like why I was eye rolling when you were talking about like the Heisman Trophy and stuff. Because I'm like, oh my God. And Riccio said, I called OJ and OJ said, look, Tom, this is not memorabilia. These are personal artifacts that were stolen from me. My football that I was holding in my arm when I rushed for 2,000 yards. The ring from my wife who died when I was going to give to my daughter. And then he kept talking about a photo signed by J. Edgar Hoover, where apparently on it he put he was a big fan and a fine young man.
Okay.
Right. And then Tom says, OJ said, everyone thinks nothing bad happens to me. Here I am being robbed. Why don't we show the world that I have to go by myself to get my stuff back? And of course, he's doing like classic manipulation with that statement. You know, his buddy Tom, he comes over to the Palms where OJ's at and they get Charlie involved since he was also there for the wedding and all of that shit. So basically, Charlie said that Simpson turned to him and said, these 2 individuals who I did business with have my merchandise. That used to belong to me. I need someone I could trust to go up there or go see what it is. OJ asked that, you know, like, go act as like he's a buyer, like, gonna do that. And Charlie's like, bet, I got you.
Makes sense.
And so another person involved is Walter Alexander, and he's friends with OJ too. He said he had just landed in Vegas when he got a call from OJ saying like, hey, come meet up or whatever. And Alexander was with Michael McClinton at that time. So they went over there to the Palms. And when they got to OJ's room, Alexander said he was talking with Tom, with Riccio to try to like get this all situated, right? So Alexander said, Riccio left and then I sat down and we started laughing and talking about the past. Then all of a sudden the conversation got serious. He wanted to get his stuff back. He was like, hey man, will you watch my back? So I said yes. And then after I said yes, he leaned a little closer and said, by the way, can you get some heat? Meaning a gun.
Ooh. I don't know why I make you such big... Like, I know what happens.
I know. We already know what happens. So Alexander said he hesitated, but then McClinton spoke up and said, quote, he had plenty of heat. Clinton ran a small security company and had a concealed weapons permit, and he gave Alexander one of the guns. And OJ asked him, would you go with me to be my security? And McClinton says, sure, I'll go with you. And he says, little did I know it was going to turn into what it did. It's like, he's literally asking if you have a gun on you. Like, what do you think is going to happen?
True.
Not good things, probably. Oh, and then Alexander said to OJ, so what if they call the police? He said, OJ looked at me and he used a 4-letter word that starts with a F and ends with a K. The police, what they got to do to take me to jail for taking my own stuff.
I just love that they couldn't say fuck.
No, they couldn't.
It starts with an F and ends with a K, guys. It's fine.
Okay, so then OJ and a couple of them, they all get over there to the Palace station. You can watch there's footage like there's like a pack of them. There's like, I'm going to let this fucking play again. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's like 5, I think, of them. But yeah, like they got all, because it's a fucking casino and hotel. Like, of course there's shit. And it's just so weird to me because I'm like, I just found it kind of weird. I guess it's Vegas, so whatever. But it's like, there's these dudes walking out with all of these boxes and like obviously boxes with like picture frames and stuff in them. And I'm just like, they got so much shit and no one's like.
It also is like OJ Simpson.
This is true. Yeah. Because it's not like he concealed. He was just in like a regular shirt and pants. And,
well, think about it. Yeah. Like the fact that he's wearing or just like he's carrying a box of shit with his face on it. Yeah. People are like, at that point, nobody's thinking anything of it because they're like, oh, he probably had like a show or something. Mm-hmm. I'm also, just so that you guys know, while Tara's talking, I am on the internet looking at OJ Simpson merch that's online for sale. And there's a vintage 7-piece signed OJ Simpson nesting dolls. It's OJ Simpson, Judge Ito, Marsha Clark. Oh my God. Yeah, it's... Oh my God. I'm like, what the fuck is happening?
Good Lord. Okay. So another person that's involved with this is Clarence CJ Stewart. This was just another friend. He reached out to CJ basically to have like a getaway car. OJ said, man, I got 15 minutes to get there. You don't even have to get out of the vehicle. Just please don't leave me there. And I said, leave you where? And he said, we're going over to Palace Station. You remember that guy by the pool? Referring to Tom Riccio. He's meeting us over there. And so CJ drove, over there with OJ and the two other dudes that were with him. And they got over there and... yeah, basically, Elrich said when he got there that he and Cashmore which is CJ, got out of the car, and his part of the plan was to go into the hotel room to pose as a buyer. Elric said 2 seconds, like when they're going up there, 2 seconds later, my right hand to God, I look down the hallway, I see OJ, this guy Clarence Stewart, CJ, and these two black guys, McClinton and Alexander, who were... I like how he describes their outfits, who looked like they were out of Miami Vice, slicked back hair, Versace glasses, suits. And I go, who the bleep are these guys? I'm like, oh boy, this is a typical OJ move. Yeah, we figured that out by now. And then he continued, no one knew anybody, and it was going to the gunfight at the OK Corral.
Oh, no.
We all barged into the room. The guys in the room were shocked to see Mr. Simpson. And then on the flip side, the victims have talked as well, and they said that he had on a face that was just rage. First thing that went to my mind was it was a firearm. So I pinned him against the wall and said, no, don't do that. Next name Simpson, you could hear his voice. And then OJ goes, pack up all the stuff and let's get out of here. And basically what OJ didn't know at the time was that Riccio sometimes recorded conversations and recorded the audio of this whole thing.
Oh, Jesus.
Yes. And on the tapes, you can hear OJ screaming, you think you could steal my bleep. Probably shit. And then, like I said, these guys, they grabbed everything they could, including autographed game balls, plaques, Joe Montana lithographs, baseballs signed by Pete Rose, neckties, and other stuff. Which I'm like, you're supposedly only going there to get your stuff. So, like...
yeah.
Confusion.
Is he trying to say that was like his
collection? Yeah. Alexander said, I actually went and snatched the cord off the wall and took Bruce's cell phone. I didn't want him to call the police. I wanted to get a chance to get away and figure out how I was going to deal with this mess that I got myself into. It was stated that I pointed the gun, and I can tell you now, being as honest as possible, I never pointed that gun at anybody, McClinton said. Alexander admits he did pull out the gun he was holding for a split second. He said, the minute I pulled the gun out, I'm like, man, this is a robbery. This is going to be on national news. You could go to jail for this. It's like, no shit. And then Elric said, we just did an armed robbery. Nothing bad had happened in OJ's mind. Everything's good. He was happy. He just thought it was the funniest thing. Who is fucking surprised? McClinton says OJ was inebriated. He was definitely drunk and it was all funny to him. He kept just saying no guns. Just say there wasn't guns. I knew he was full of shit. And I thought something was going down with it. Somebody was smart. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, the other dude had a phone and Beardsley called 911 and literally told them we were just robbed at gunpoint by OJ Simpson. So...
it's like you're fucking OJ Simpson. Like, it's not like you're a nobody or people are going to be like, I don't know. He was a tall black man.
Right.
Like, people are going to be like, he was fucking OJ Simpson. Like, you're internationally known.
Exactly. And then he said that the police were really lax about it, that they said, so you were robbed by OJ Simpson. Who else was here? Al Cowlings. Not surprised that, there's cops in his pocket, just saying. But the next day, he was questioned by police, but not arrested. And on the 15th, the wedding happened. But Walter Alexander, he got busted. So he said, I got to the airport and I went to check my bags. The police came up behind me and said, "Are you Walter Alexander?" And I said, "Yes." I knew it was going down. By the 16th of September, they arrested OJ and they took everybody else in. And they, like I said, they were charged with all of those counts that I listed before we started this clusterfuck. And then let me just give you kind of like some highlights on what OJ was saying. Oh, I also have this little snippet from, I don't know if it was from the incident report or what. I was reading some document, but here we go, guys. Okay. Oh, no. This comes from something with LA Times. The day after the incident, so before he was arrested, he did a 20-minute interview with LA Times. And of course, they asked about these allegations. And he says, quote, "I'm OJ Simpson. How am I going to think that I'm going to rob somebody and get away with it? Besides, I thought what happens in Las Vegas stays in Las Vegas. You've got to understand, this ain't somebody going to steal somebody's drugs or something like that. Or this is somebody going to get his private belongings back. That's it. Not a robbery."
But those weren't your belongings anymore, sir. You sold them. The money in which you received was the transaction.
Right. And basically, like, everybody gets sentenced to prison because, you know, we got felonies in this by December of 2008. And essentially for OJ, it's a minimum of 9 years in prison, after which he would be eligible for parole with a maximum of 33 years for the sentence. No surprise. We all know he fucking got out. He got released on October 1st, 2017. And what was some things he said there about, you know, this crime? He said, "I haven't made any excuses in the 9 years I've been here, and I'm not trying to make any excuses now." And he said, "It's been ruled legally by the state of California that it was my property and they've given it to me." One of the victims, so Bruce, spoke favorably of OJ at the hearing, which is interesting considering, like, after the fact. And the quote from him says that we're, you know, meaning OJ, "He was led to believe that on that day there was going to be thousands of pieces of his memorabilia, pictures of his wife from his first marriage, pictures of his kids. He was told there was going to be a possibility his wife's wedding ring, thousands of things. He was misled about what was going to be there that day." Was he, though?
I don't think he was.
Exactly. And then he also stated to the committee that OJ never held a gun up to him.
You're still part of an armed robbery, sir.
Yes. So yeah, he served 9 years. And like I said, he was released October 1st of 2017, and he has been out since. As far as OJ today, he was like being BFFs with Casey Anthony, like we already saw, because of Pat McKenna.
Fucking Pat McKenna.
A weird connection there. He's very active on Twitter.
It's true.
He likes to do video recordings and post them.
Yeah, he likes to weigh in on, like,
on football and all that. Yeah, that's what all the recent posts were.
What was the one where he just weighed in on? There was like a murder one that happened. Oh, it was the Southern lawyer dude.
The Murdaugh case.
The Murdaugh case. He was like, "Let me tell you," and then like kind of, and I was like, "Fuck you, OJ Simpson, and your dumbass."
Literally.
You want to hear some fun shit I found on the internet?
Oh my god, yes, that's what we need to wrap this.
And then we'll talk my theories.
Yes.
Okay. So remember, the trial happened in the 90s.
Yeah.
What child's toy or children's-ish toy was super big in the 90s? Not a thing now. Pogs.
Pogs, yes.
You can get on eBay a 90s O.J. Simpson trial Pog coin aluminum metal set of 9.
Oh my god.
It has O.J. Simpson, it has Marsha Clark, it has Robert Shapiro, it has both Ron and Nicole, it has AC or Al Cunnings, it has Johnny Cochran, it has the murder weapon with the gloves.
Gross.
And it has Judge Lance Ito.
Gross.
You can purchase that for $85.
No thanks.
This is the only one I would ever consider purchasing. It is a mugshot of O.J. Simpson where someone has drawn a evil little like mustache and thing, but that's $375.
Oh God.
There is a Pog Slammer, if you remember how to play, which I don't think anyone really knows how to play Pogs, but
yeah, no, it wasn't my thing.
Where it has OJ like behind bars, and it says OJ guilty or innocent, but it says it says OJ in the slammer.
Oh my God.
People were like real up on this.
Yeah, they were.
There's a button. This one's $15, so this is economically purchasable. It's of Robert Shapiro and O.J. Simpson, and it says, "My client is not getting justice." Which is a soundbite from Robert. You can purchase like things. One thing that was interesting is like the Funko Pops that are like the Tommy Trojan.
Oh.
O.J. Simpson has signed a bunch because he went to USC.
Gotcha.
There is a O.J. signed autographed with him wearing the fucking shoes.
Oh my God.
This is the one that I do want though. Mm-hmm. It is the John Travolta signed People vs. O.J. script.
Oh.
It's 60 pages of what he signed on for.
Okay.
You can purchase every single lawyer in that case's signature, and they range anywhere from like $59 to this one that has OJ and Cochran in it, and it is almost $600. So there is 8 pages of shopping for that.
I am all set.
Me too.
All right. Well, shall you tell
Theory time?
Theories, and then we will be done with OJ unless you're a patron.
Do you have a theory besides OJ did it?
No, you can't. This is your time to shine, friend. You do it. I'm just here.
I know, but I just
I'm
wanted
sorry.
to give you a
I'm
chance
tired.
if you had one. No. Do you, boo boo? Okay, guys, this is my theory. My theory takes us back to March of 1994 when Nicole and OJ and kids go with Chris and Caitlyn Jenner to Mexico. Mm-hmm. My thought is either there or shortly after getting back, they have a huge fight and split. And this is the time where if you know anything about abuse, like domestic violence, there's like the cycle of abuse. Mm-hmm. And OJ's fucking steamed and pissed and blah, blah, blah. And then they kind of like start working out and start talking. And then he love bombs. Mm-hmm. So we move to Nicole's birthday is May 19th, which is the day before my birthday. But for Mother's Day and for her birthday, OJ bought her jewelry. Nicole originally accepts the jewelry, but I think somewhere between May 19th and May 27th, Nicole has a conversation with OJ where she returns the jewelry. We know she returns the jewelry because he talks about giving it to Paula Barbieri.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Because he has this jewelry and he doesn't know what to do with it.
Right.
I think this is the moment Nicole is like, I'm ending the cycle. I'm done. We're not getting back together. Fuck this. Like, there's no more Nicole and OJ. We're done.
Right.
And I think something flips in his mind, which is if I can't have her, no one can have her.
I agree.
And I think he went out and he bought that disguise because he was setting it up. And then he goes out and he buys that knife because I think he has something that's pretty much similar to it already. But he buys a knife that he's never going to use and he stashes it in his closet because the murder weapon that they find is clean. So the knife that he owns that is just like this is clean. I think OJ is just laying in wait. He has made up his mind. I think he's had several conversations with her about getting back together and just keeps talking and it just keeps festering in him. And then we go to June 12th. I think with Paula that morning being like, I want to go. And I think the reason OJ didn't want Paula to go had nothing to do with the fact that Nicole would have been upset. I think Nicole would have been fine because I think it would be like, he's moving the fuck on, which means he's going to leave me the fuck alone.
Exactly.
I think he tells Paula, you can't fucking come with me because he's still giving that one more hope, that one more chance.
Yeah.
I got this. He goes there. Nicole hasn't saved him a seat. There's no, OJ, how are you, baby? And I think it pisses him off. And he does. He sits there and he seethes and he's pissed off. And when he's around his kids, he's like, Dad's on. And he's smiling and he's laughing with the parents. Like, with Nicole's parents and everything. But he's secretly pissed. And my thought is, after the recital, they all walk outside and OJ says to Nicole, "Oh, you guys going to dinner? Can I come?" And she probably says, "No, OJ, I don't think it's a good idea. You have your trip, whatever." And OJ is like, "Why can't I come to dinner?" And she's like, "I just don't think it's good. I'm going to spend time with my family. You have a nice night." And they split, which is perfectly okay to do.
Yeah.
I think OJ starts thinking about Nicole and all of that shit. Like, if you go back to the whole relationship with Keith and the inappropriate, like, walking in and being like, "You can't have sex in your house when our kids are there," which is not appropriate. Mentioning that I impromptu stopped by your house for whatever reason, and I happened to walk past your window and saw you, like, mid-coitus, probably isn't great because the kids could come down. That might just be a suggestion, but probably not handled that way. In fact, we know it wasn't handled that way. He literally came and screamed at her about it.
Yeah.
I think OJ went home and Cato was there. And Cato was like, "How was the recital?" And OJ is like, "This fucker is here because he's friends with Nicole. And I'm doing Nicole this solid and he lives here. And she wouldn't fucking let me go to dinner." And they seethe and and he's like, "I'm leaving to get on a plane at 11:45. Like, I will be gone at 11 p.m. I will be gone. I have between now and then to make this plan happen." So he waits. He gets all this shit together. He puts it in the Bronco while he's driving around making his phone calls. He comes back. He goes and gets Cato and they go get dinner because he's hoping that Cato, who, let's be honest, was probably a little like high, which was fine. No judgment. My feeling is that he was like, Cato's not going to have a sense of time.
Right.
And the thing that you don't realize about high people, if they do it long enough, they're very functioning. So they might actually remember the time.
Yeah.
And they go and they get their McDonald's and they come back and OJ's eating in the car. Cato has told us this. OJ eats in the car. OJ admitted that he ate in the car. So there's no reason for OJ to have to, like, go back up to his room and spend time and eat, right? None of that. So Cato goes to his room. OJ leaves. He goes over and he's going up to Nicole's house either to scare the shit out of her or to actually kill her. And he gets there and he walks through the back gate and he sees the candles lit. Mind you, they talk about all of the candles lit. There were 9 candles lit, people. That's not that many candles. As a woman who has had self-care nights where I've done exactly what Nicole has done, which is light
totally
more than 9 candles, eaten a bowl of ice cream and gotten in a bathtub. I have eaten ice cream in a bathtub. A lot of people right now are like, "Ooh, that sounds fantastic," because it's nice and relaxing and refreshing, and you want that. She wasn't expecting Ron to come over for a rendezvous.
No.
My theory is he was not even going to knock on the door. He was going to place the glasses on the step, and that Nicole was going to grab them later. And then OJ walks through the back door or the back gate. He's seething because he sees the candles. He's like, that's why she didn't want me to come, because there was going to be a dude. Ron Goldman walks up and sees OJ standing there with the knit cap on, the gloves, and a knife in his hand. And he's like, "The fuck?" He starts yelling. Nicole had just run a bath. I don't know about you, but I have had to answer the door before because someone is knocking and I've been naked. What is the first thing you go for? The easiest to clothe yourself entirely, which would be a dress.
Right.
So Nicole reaches down, grabs a dress, throws it on, and runs outside to see what the fuck is going on before it wakes her kids up. OJ and Ron are yelling at each other. Nicole is like, "The fuck is happening? OJ, get the fuck out of here." And OJ Simpson starts stabbing her in the head, the neck, all of that. We know how he murdered her. He stabbed her so many times, and then she falls down. Ron attacks him to protect her. The glove comes off. People ask, like, well, if the glove came off in the fight, why would it not be turned inside out? Not if Ron grabbed his hand and it pulled it off.
Right.
If he grabbed fingers and pulled it, it wouldn't turn inside out. Also, with all the blood on his hand, it probably was slippery. Just saying. It falls down. He attacks Ron. He cuts himself. Ron falls into the gate. His hand is banging against, which is why he gets the bruises. It's not actually from punching OJ. He goes over, he picks up Nicole's head, and he slices her throat. And then he goes over and he does the same thing to Ron Goldman. He fucking walks away, leaving the knit cap, the glove, and a trail of blood out. He gets back to his house. He climbs over the fence. He bangs into Cato's room. I think the glove was probably in his pocket at this point in time. The glove falls onto the ground. OJ doesn't realize it's missing. He gets up to his room. He knows the limo guy is here. This is the part that he didn't, think through, is the limo driver's here. So he's rushed. He leaves his socks. I don't think he meant to leave his socks. I think he took the socks off and probably thought he threw them in the black bag. He goes and searches with Cato. They can't find it. He won't let the limo driver take that bag. He keeps the bag with them. He walks into LAX. He sets the bag in the trash can. The murder weapon of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ronald Goldman is in a landfill in LA somewhere.
I think you hit the nail on the head with it. I really do.
And he flies off to Chicago and thinks, I've gotten away with murder. And he technically did. Everyone thinks he's done it, but that is my theory.
No, I feel like that's really spot on. That's really spot on. That's pretty much what I think too. And I think a lot of people, because it's one of those theories that just makes the most sense. And because of the history of abuse and the history of him yelling and coming over and acting a fucking fool after they split, like that would make complete sense. So yes, I am team that theory.
You have to think about the fact that he had that disguise kit, and he had a ticket. He had a ticket from Mexico, I think, to Puerto Rico, to a country that doesn't extradite. He was leaving June 18th from an airport in Mexico. Interesting. And I think honest to God, I think what happened is, I think one of the truths in OJ's book is he had planned to run by himself. I don't think he ever was going to have AC involved. But I think AC was there and he was like, okay. He drives around. He has the gun as backup in case he gets caught. He can do the whole I'm going to kill myself thing, which he did. And I think he wasn't expecting people to talk shit about him.
No.
As fast as they did. And Gilgar said he got on there and was like, OJ Simpson is a fugitive. He's running because he killed his ex-wife, and that pissed him off. We see that with the Vegas thing. OJ doesn't think he has, he's like, that shit was mine. I'm going to go get it. Even though he's the one who sold it off.
Right.
So I think he was planning on running, and I think he thought, fuck it. I'm going to go back just one more time. I'm going to set the record straight, because he's too much of a narcissist to walk away when people are calling him bad names. Yep. That's my theory on OJ Simpson.
Whew. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up. So, wow.
If you're a patron, there's one more episode that will be this month on the last day of the month that is OJ Simpson related. I know we don't ever tell you ahead of time, but
this is set in stone.
Yeah. This one we were like, we're going to do this for a patron episode, because it was either that or we're going to have 9 million episodes. So we don't need that in our lives.
No.
Because spooky season is coming up, and we had to fucking finish this shit before spooky season got here, people.
Oh my gosh. Yes, there is so many great things. I am so excited. We have some fun topics and other fun surprises. That's all I will say. I won't spoil anything. But yes, Jess and I are so fucking pumped.
So with that, we are done. We're wrapping it up, and we will see you back here on Monday for another episode. Unless you're a patron, we'll see you back here on Saturday. Toodles noodles.
Bye.